All right, we are back. So this is a new segment. I was struggling to figure out a name. I was like, bad journalism or whatever. Then came this phrase, Stenographers to Power, and it's basically a book written by David Barsamian, a radio journalist for a really long time. And I love it because it talks about the media being stenographers, just plugging information in and just taking verbatim what public officials say to them. So this is the article we are going to talk about. And of course, I didn't take a note of who wrote it, but let's talk about the article itself. It's titled Chicago Police Board Rejects Firing Officer Accused of Making False Statements in Hospital Patient Beating Case. Okay, interesting. I want to know more, right? So the article is written on, I think, a Thursday night, which would be my bet, either posted Thursday night or Friday morning last week. That's when the Chicago Police Board announces the decisions they voted on earlier in the day in private session. So the Sun-Times, which must have felt pressure to published an article. There's a vote. It's 5-3. The officer not only isn't fired, which is what the police department was trying to do, because COPA investigated the abuse, found him lying in the investigation, sustained the charge for lying, moved to fire him. The police superintendent, I think it's David Brown. I think so. I think the timing works out there, either that or Eddie Johnson or Back. But I think it was David Brown. Agrees with it. The city files charges with the police board. They're going to fire him. Great. What do they do? What is this article about? Well, it's a vote 5-3. They're going to return him to duty. They're not going to fire him. Okay, well, why? Well, the board just didn't think. Basically, the case revolves around whether or not when the officer swung at him, he actually hit him in the head, and whether or not he hit him or he just grazed him or he missed him. And there's a video of it. But you get that information from articles, probably cut and pasted from articles previously done on the case when the charges were filed, or when they moved to fire him, or when the incident happened. But there's no information about the decision and why the police board did what they did. Why did they do it? What do you mean? Why can't you get it? Now, here's the thing. The police board announces the decision. It is then sent, I think it's probably, I should say, they vote on it in private session. I believe then everything's signed and written up and everything. I believe it's within, they give it a couple of days to get that out to the officer and the city council, and then in the city, I should say. And then that decision is posted on the police board's website. It's a crappy website. If I were you, I'd go to cpbinfocenter.org, which we run. This case should be up soon, but it'll give you just information on charges and decisions back to 1999. However, okay, so it takes a day or two after they vote on the charges for the decision actually be made public, and the Sun-Times wanted to rush because they voted for this guy to keep the job. Now, they don't know why the board voted that way, really, and no one on the board is talking. Just 5-3, that's all that matters. It isn't, man. In 2011, in September of 2011, I believe it was, we passed a damn reform to amend the police board ordinance, which has been in since 1960 and never been adjusted, to make the board members, the majority and minority voters, explain their decisions. You can go get that ordinance, and it'll soon be up on our site. You can go get it from the police board website, and it gives you the explanation of the majority vote and why they voted that way, and the dissenters write out a dissent. Why didn't you wait, get that, and do a full story about it? Instead, you wrote this piece of crap. This story's useless. Most of it was cut and pasted probably from an article you or someone else wrote months ago when the charges were filed or the incident happened. We didn't need a retread of that with a 5-3 vote. That was it. We didn't need it. Article's a piece of crapola. Part of the reason we fought for the explanations is so the media could take that information and inform the public. Even that's too hard for them. They'll wait the day or two because there's some rush to explain that decision. Why? Why are you so incompetent? I don't understand. And just as a reminder, if you're listening to the podcast version of this, or you're watching this live now, when this is posted on our site, either later tonight or tomorrow morning in the podcast version, you can get, if you go to our site, go to that post, you will get all the links and you will get all the images that we show on the site, show on the show, provide on the show.